That's really been the story of Palantir this entire year, to just be quite frank. This is a year-to-date chart of Palantir, and it's just like every time people wanted this baby to dip, that dip just got bought up every time throughout this entire year. If you tell me the market's going to get hit heavy, Bitcoin's going right down the tubes with it, and everything else get hit worse. Anything else is just straight delusion. We're getting strength in different areas, we're getting weakness in different areas right now.
The fact that the Fed does have
howdy folks, hello. Coinbase, I might have to add that to my potential hedges for next year at some point in time. Let's see, potential hedges for 2024. I mean, if the financial markets were to get hit, obviously coin's going to get hit heavy. So Palantir's down over 9%. First off, what is going on with Palantir? Is this just a weird freak move down here today, or is there some sort of news? Like I said, I am way behind in everything today. So I don't know what in the world's going on with good old PLTR here today. But that's a significant move for a random Monday, right? Yeah, it is true. If you don't think crypto is going to fall in a financial collapse, I have a bridge to sell you. Yes. Look what happened last year to Bitcoin. It went from, 60K, 70K to 15K by the end of the year. If you tell me the market's going to get hit heavy, Bitcoin's going right down the tubes with it, and everything else get hit worse. Anything else is just straight delusion, Lex. Like, you're just delusional. Like, you don't, look what happened last year. It's just straight delusion, man. All right, so PLTR, what the heck is going on here in regards to this one? Nothing. We got nothing. But that baby's just sinking and stinking today. Anybody got anything on Palantir today? That's a big move. I mean, nearly 10%. And the Dow is hardly down today, okay? Let's just call it break even. Now, the SP 500 is down decent, 0.7%. NASDAQ's down about 1%. That's decent, but let's be honest. Palantir being down nearly 10%, that's crazy. I mean, the next closest stock I had to that would be Meta, down 1.9% here today. Amazon's down, Shopify down. So what we're seeing is clearly rotation out of some of these big dogs that have been rolling this year, the Metas, the Amazons, the Shopifys, those sorts of stocks. And where's that money rolling? It's rolling into a lot of the smalls. Look at my best stock here today. It's Honest. Second best stock, The Planet, 4% moves. Elf's over 3% here today. Fubo's 2.5%. Nike's a little bit of a beaten up play, right? Even PayPal's rolling. PayPal's flirting with going back into the 60s. And so it's very interesting. You've got this dynamic where you have money rotating out of some of these big dogs and into some of these other guys. Palantir falls as analysts raises questions over Army contract renewal. Okay. Palantir's strong run in 2023 is running into more headwinds with bearish analysts on Palantir stock raising questions over Army contract. Okay. So a bearish analyst is causing some drama, okay? Something to keep in mind. William Blair analyst Louis De Palma, who rates Palantir stock underperformed, published a note published Friday. So this is on Friday he put this out. Speculating on the future of a 4-year, $458 million Army contract which is set to expire. Citing a U.S. Army presentation last week, De Palma wrote that there is a strong indication that Palantir's renewal contract in 2 weeks will be significantly less than the $458 million. Okay. He also said the Army might offer a new 2-year renewal for $116 million, with Palantir's revenue reduced by additional vendors sharing in the deal. The William Blair analyst speculated that the data ownership could be an issue between the Army and Palantir. A U.S. Army presentation made last week does not appear to bode very well for Palantir. At an industry event at Fort Belvoir in Virginia, U.S. Army officials set out plans to revamp the U.S. Army data platform, what used to be known as the Vantage Dashboard. Taking notes, William Blair analyst Louis De Palma says the comments suggest brewing friction with Palantir, the present Vantage Prime contractor. Well, we'll see. I'll research that more. I'll probably talk about that subject in the main channel video today. But so one is, I mean, just looking at what I saw there, and I'll have to do more digging into this whole situation, right? But just kind of very initial thoughts as of just finding this out a few minutes ago. So let's say what he's saying is accurate, okay? First thing up is Palantir is still in the deal, right? It wasn't like that gentleman was saying, oh, Palantir is no part of this contract anymore or something like that. He's talking about it could potentially be for much less money than the 458, which was $100 million something dollars a year. Let's call it, $110 million a year. Let's just call it that, okay? So basically, that analyst is saying Palantir was getting $110 million a year, and now they might only get $60 million a year or something like that. 50 million, 60 million, so significantly less from the deal, right? So if they were true, obviously that's not great. You always want to see Palantir winning all the same contracts for at least the same dollar amount, if not a bigger dollar amount. So it wouldn't be great. On the flip side of that, right? Well, obviously Palantir has so many growth opportunities all over the place that, that number is going to be pretty insignificant when you take into account all the other government wins and obviously all the commercial wins that are coming and will continue to come. So certainly not some sort of end of the world news in regards to Palantir, if that's even accurate, which once again, we don't even know if that's true or in terms of nothing's confirmed out of this. If Palantir goes from $110 million a year in that contract to $60 million or whatever, we'll see. We don't know if it's true, right? But certainly no end of the world situation. I mean, the fact that the stock's down nearly 10% on that, on a rumor? On a rumor? Seems a little desperate. I would call it that. But anyways, it is what it is. Palantir is a super volatile stock. It's going to remain a very volatile stock for the next several years. There will be some day when Palantir is probably a pretty boring, sleepy company, and the moves will be very muted with Palantir. It's just not that stock yet. Palantir is just not that stock. Palantir is really just on a rumor like this that an analyst puts out about maybe potentially Palantir getting $50 million less a year, roughly, from this contract. And the market cap's moving. I mean, a 10% move on Palantir stock. Palantir's what, a $40 billion market cap now or so, right? $44 billion. I mean, you move 10%. That's $4 billion of market capitalization, folks. Think about that for a moment. We're talking about potentially, keyword is potentially, none of this is confirmed, potentially $50 million or so less a year for Palantir for this one contract. And Palantir's market cap has moved, $4 billion or so today. So, the moral of the story is in regards to Palantir, this is an extremely volatile stock and is going to remain a very volatile stock for quite some time. And the fact that it moves this big on this, potential rumor out of a bearish analyst is interesting. I would just call it that. But that's Palantir, right? If suddenly, they announce some new contract and they're going to make a new $100 million or so a year, I'm sure the stock would be up huge. This just, it's what it is right now, right? And I've definitely, experienced that in Tesla stock over the years where it could just make some ridiculous moves. And you're just like, wow, Tesla really moved $5 billion in this or $20 billion in this or that, right? So we'll see. The thing with Palantir, though, I'll be honest with you guys, so many people are desperate to build positions in Palantir that when you do get a big dip like this and a bunch of kind of scared momentum, you could see a lot of follow through over the coming days of buying it up, buying the dip. Because there's just a lot of people that, Palantir is so far from where they think the stock's going. Because you got to remember, there's a lot of people convinced that Palantir is going to be a $100 stock in the future, a $250 stock in the future. You got people that truly believe Palantir is going to be a $500 stock in 5 or 10 years out, right? And so for those folks, $18 is just it's so far from where they think the stock's going that they're going to just continue to buy shares and buy shares and buy shares. And they'll be buying out there tomorrow and they'll be buying out there Wednesday. So just something to kind of keep in mind in regards to that. And, all dips end up being bought because people just either need to build out positions or they want to build out positions. And you've got a lot of folks that are also not really positioned into it that want to get positioned into it. So they're kind of rooting for Palantir to go down. You got a lot of people out there that, let's just call it, don't own as many shares they want to own with Palantir. They're rooting for the stock to go down so they can pick up shares for as cheap as possible. But the problem is once the stock starts a little upward momentum, people start tripping over themselves to buy shares. They just start getting really desperate and really FOMO really fast, right? Because they might look at it today and they're like, okay, 1845, maybe tomorrow, we can have a little bit more fallout. Maybe I'll go to 1790, 1780, and maybe I could pick up some shares tomorrow, right? Then all of a sudden it doesn't go to that. And all of a sudden it's 1880. And all of a sudden they're like, crap, man, I need to get in. And so then they buy in. And next thing you know, it's 1890. And then the next guy is saying, damn, man, like Palantir's already going back up. I need to just buy now. So next thing you know, he's in at 19. And then the next guy's like, shoot, it's going up again. I had 1910, and that's really been the story of Palantir this entire year, to just be quite frank. This is a year-to-date chart of Palantir. And it's just like, every time people wanted this baby to dip, that dip just got bought up every time throughout this entire year. So we'll see. But it's just kind of been the story of Palantir here. Let's take a peek around safety stocks watch list here today. We'll call it a little bit of a mixed bag for safety stocks here today. Microsoft and Apple are getting hit the hardest. Stocks like that are, but see, this is where we're getting into a very interesting market now, folks. Very interesting market. Because you're seeing stocks like Microsoft, stocks like Apple, and these other big techs, they're sending the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ down. But outside of some of those big techs, it's actually a good day in the market. The truth is, this is not showing you reality today. And really, this market hasn't shown you reality this whole year, right? It's looked so amazing if you look at just how much the Qs are up and how much the S&P 500 is up. But then you look beneath the surface and you saw the damage in a lot of the Dow-related stocks, the safety stocks, even some small caps here and there. It depends on which ones. A lot of mid caps, oil and gas. And so you saw a lot of weakness in this market in general, right, this year. But on the surface, it doesn't look like it. And so now we got a reverse situation happening where it looks like, a bad day in the market. Wow, NASDAQ's down 135 points. But you go beneath the surface and it's like, is it really a bad day? Because look at all these green stocks. Let's pull up a heat map. A heat map's always one of the best things to look at in terms of how the market's actually performing today, right? So you see like the overwhelmingly massive weights are red, right? But then you go out there off of those massive red ones, right? The huge market caps, the Microsofts, Nvidias, they kind of have it weighted here, right? And then look at all the small little green ones. There's green all over the place and all these small ones. Look at it. I mean, it's insane. But the thing is, those massive red ones are what dictate the market going up or down. That's what dictates, because they're weighted so heavy, that's what dictates, if the S&P 500 says, up 2% or down 2% in a day, right? And so this is an interesting phenomenon now, where you got so much little stuff is green, and then the big giants are red. The big giants are all red. I mean, there's no big giant out there today that's really green. I mean, the closest thing to a big giant is maybe JP Morgan. But, I mean, look at how small JP Morgan is compared to something like Apple. I mean, Apple just dwarfs the size of a JP Morgan, right? Home Depot is nicely green. That's a fairly big dog. But look at how small it is compared to an Amazon, right? So, very interesting phenomenon we have in the market now at this point in time, folks. Very interesting. The market's starting to get really intriguing. We got rich people stocks reporting this week, folks. Toll Brothers tomorrow after the close. We have RH, Lululemon, and Vail Resorts all reporting Thursday after the bell. So we have some other interesting stocks reporting this week as well. Box is reporting. Asana is reporting. AeroVironment, if I recall, that is a drone company. Dave & Buster's reporting. Chewy's reporting. That could be interesting. C3 AI, which some people feel like a fake AI company. That's what some people say. some people call it a wannabe Palantir. I don't know. I don't really have too strong of an opinion on the company, but they're reporting after the bell on Wednesday. So, but yes, indeedy. Okay, so AI stocks watch list here today. Worst stock of the bunch, once again, is Palantir, 8.6%. Best stock of the bunch is actually Tesla, my Tesla. I mean, after looking into the tech side of Cybertruck, makes me freaking want to buy more Tesla stock. It really does. It really does. I mean, woo! It makes me want to buy more Tesla. That's all I'll say about that. When you look into the tech, I mean, the Tesla engineers are doing things with the Cybertruck that other auto manufacturers have been trying to do for decades and haven't been able to do. And there's multiple things that Tesla's pulling off. It's ridiculous. I would highly suggest everybody do a little bit of research into the subject. CRM's down about 3.5%. Interesting to see that one down here today. Intel down big, 3%. Palo Alto Networks, 3%. NVIDIA's down about 3%. Netflix, AMD, MU, Google, McDougal, all down about 2%, a little over 2% each. Meta, Shopify, Amazon, Microsoft down, Adobe down, Oracle down, Tesla down. All the big dogs down, right? And the smaller of the big techs, the Ubers, Ubidi-Booba, Snowflake, IBM, PayPal, all sorts of companies are actually green here today. Yeah, I remember in college, my accounting instructor, who I had for 3 levels of accounting, he was so bullish on gold. He used to talk, and by the way, he taught me a lot about just investing in general and compounding, those sorts of things. But I always remember he was such a gold bug. Man, he was such a gold bug. He always talking about gold this, gold that, why you got to be investing in gold, why he thought gold was going to outperform all the different assets. And this was like, when I was in college, this was like 2009. I mean, part of 2008, but really, I remember his classes were more 2009 and in 2010. And so, back then, gold was going on a pretty big run. It had the big pull down there, but 94. So you roughly, let's say I listened to him and I was like, I'm going to buy gold. I wouldn't have gotten much for returns over the years, honestly. Back in these days, I didn't have much money, so I didn't start really having good money until like 2011. So, I could have got a decent return, but I would have been better off, just buying S&P, buying Qs or something like that than gold. Which gold is what it is. That's the best way I'd put it. It is what it is. I would not expect it to outperform other asset classes, for the most part. Really thinking about asset classes such as stock market. So, but man, he loved gold. I should buy a gold bar just because of him. He taught me a lot, man. Dude was awesome. Ecom watch list. Shopify's worst stock of the bunch, down about 1.5% here today. Amazon's second worst stock. Best stock is Affirm. Affirm's been rolling. Look at Affirm. 325% return for Affirm stock year to date? You gotta be flipping my flapjacks. Oh my gosh. Affirm? You can go get a perm with that money. Woo! Dang. Imagine buying some calls around this time last year in Affirm. Just, think Affirm come back over the next couple of years. Just buy a few long-term calls. I mean, those would be up thousands of percent right now. When a stock's up 326%, the calls in that stock kind of be up probably 1,000 to 2,000%. Well, that's just insane. But on the flip side, who would have known a firm would come back this strong this year? 327%? I mean, what? I mean, if I showed you just this was all you had to see, and I said, here's fintech today, good day or bad day in the market. Everybody would say, good day in the market. Everybody. There wouldn't be one person and be like, oh, it's a bad day in the market. No, of course. Everybody would say it's a good day. And yet, NASDAQ's down 0.77% right now, right? So, we're getting strength in different areas, and we're getting weakness in different areas right now. Somebody says, I'm fully invested right now and simply nibble on companies I'm long on pullbacks. Nice. Okay. Thoughts on new autopilot? I haven't got to really look at the new autopilot, so I'll have to take a look. SoFi said they'll be profitable this quarter in Investor Day. Can you take us through your thoughts? I've done a lot of SoFi talk recently. Check out. I even specifically have one video where I talk about SoFi on the main channel. It has it in the thumbnail. It has it in the video. I also put out a YouTube short on the main channel a couple days ago. Actually, it might be a day ago or 2 days ago on SoFi as well. So, check out those and you can kind of get my thoughts there. Somebody says, I feel like gold and silver is such a boomer investment strategy. Yeah. The same type of people that in the younger generation are attracted to Bitcoin are the same exact people that in the older generation are attracted to gold and silver. They're literally identical people. They'll have different reasons, and both will disrespect each other, and both will say, Bitcoin investor will say the gold investor doesn't know what they're doing, and the gold investor will tell the Bitcoin investor they don't know what they're doing, and they'll both tell each other their thing's crap, but they're literally the same exact person. They don't even realize they are the same exact person. The same person that buys Bitcoin today is the same person that would have bought gold in the past. It's just a different generation, and different generations are attracted to different things. And whatever they feel like is a safe haven. They think Bitcoin's a safe haven. People have thought gold's a safe haven, right? It's the same group of folks, both limited resources, both there's a finite amount of it out there, right? It's just the good thing for Bitcoin, though, certainly over gold, is Bitcoin, anybody can easily access Bitcoin versus gold's a much, harder market to kind of access to push the prices up. So, I mean, if you had asked me, well, which one's going to outperform the other over the next decade, I'd say probably Bitcoin's going to outperform gold. High probability, but even that's not a guarantee. But if you had to put me on there, I'd say Bitcoin. But it's literally the same exact person. It's just different age groups. Gold rush never gets old. Bitcoin is a beast recently again, 100%. Look at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ runs big, Bitcoin runs big. Look at Bitcoin this year. Look at the NASDAQ this year. Look at NVIDIA stock this year. You'll see huge correlations.
Last 3 or 4 weeks, especially coming off the UAW contract deal as those details came out. But take a look at the stock today, and it's moving higher largely because when you look at November sales, the strategy shift that Jim Farley talked about a few months ago when he said we are going to go
hybrids
hard
up. What do they sell? 6 of those?
Paying off. Overall
6 of those a month?
Fractionally. There you see the ICE models. ICE models are tougher to sell for everybody right now, but the hybrids, they are hot. And it's not just hybrids that are working at Ford. They increased their production on the F-150 Lightning, the Mustang Mach-E. They started that a few months ago. That's the reason why those sales of those EVs,
Ford EV sales up 43%
in the month of November.
They're now probably selling 20 of them a month.
Not a whole lot to celebrate over the last month, aside from the UAW contract. They'll take this. This is proof that strategy shift from Jim Farley is working. But take a look at Ford and GM versus Honda and Toyota. Actually, yeah, we're going to take a look at all these. There's been a definite split in terms of performance this year, and it's easy to see why when you look at what's happening with Toyota
Toyota's
and Honda
done much better
and the
than those
emphasis
guys.
on hybrids.
What are they talking about, Bitcoin versus gold?
The inflationary spike did not really accrue that well to the price of gold in nominal terms over that period of time. But I do think when you do have geopolitical turmoil in an area where there is a lot of investment or wealth or capital, people want to move it out of harm's way, and these are ways to do that. It's kind of portable wealth and safe havens in that respect. I'm not sure that I would make the next leap to say somehow that it's...
Yeah, Amazon's another one of those stocks. Every freaking dip in Amazon's a buy. It's been like that for 20 years, and it continues to be like that to this day. Every dip in Amazon's always a buy.
Yielding assets.
There's a lot of different cross currents to swim through here.
Yeah.
Mike Santoli, appreciate it. See you later in the show. After the break, Blackstone's global head of private equity.
Okay, so we got a next few fun days here, folks. We got a fun few days. What we'll do is we'll do our normal show, 12 to 1, and then we'll see what these earnings come in at. Chewy's the one I'm specifically interested in. I'll take a peek at C3AI as well. And then after those earnings come out, then we'll listen to the Toll Brothers call that will have happened Wednesday morning. And we'll hear what they have to say about the high end of the housing market, which should be very intriguing. I really want to hear what Toll Brothers has to say about this housing market and what they see coming in 2024, and all those sorts of things. So that's what we'll do. And then Thursday is going to be really a fun one, because Thursday is actually the day I'm going to look most forward to in terms of what we got going on. So Thursday, we'll be able to react to those earnings. Lulu, RH, and Vail Resorts are the specific ones I'm interested in. I'll see what's going on with Smith & Wesson as well. But we'll be able to listen to the RH call live. The RH call is usually the conference call I look the most forward to, even though I don't even own the stock. It's usually the conference call I look the most forward to. Gary Friedman, what's going on in the luxury housing market, in the furniture market. I always think he has a lot of good business wisdom, and he also has a lot of outlook on kind of the economy. Being that he sells very high-end furniture to very high-end clientele, he talks with a lot of people and kind of gets their gist of kind of how they're feeling. So that's going to be a really fun day. That's actually the day I'm looking most forward to this week, is Thursday. So, alrighty, folks, appreciate you. Much love as always. Catch me on the main channel. I will be over there in a few hours from now. We'll be talking Palantir. We'll be talking about some things in the market, a few other stocks as well. That'll be out probably in the next 3 hours. I would check over there, okay? Much love, folks. Appreciate you joining me, and have a great day. Peace.